Howdy, this is the making of part 1
of Frozen Crossing.
Hey, we're the guys who made it. So my name's Sam Gorski.
I'm Nico Peringer. We're the directors. We also did basically all the computer work, editing, VFX.
Sound, music, all that kind of stuff.
Freddie did sound.
Thanks, Freddie.
Thanks, Freddie. The reason we made this is because we wanted to make an action movie. We liked Call of Duty. Our style was similar to Call of Duty, and we went, you know what? If we make an action movie and we make it a fan film, we're gonna get 1 million views. If we make an action movie and it's not a fan film, no one's gonna see it. Well, let's talk about cameras real quick.
What cameras did you guys use?
We used the HVX and the Canon 7D.
For the fast, high-action footage, we used the HVX. But for the close-ups where we needed shallow depth of field, we used the 7D, since we could swap lenses when we needed to. The two cameras really complemented our shooting style. One would be the run-and-gun camera, while the other one would get beauty and detail shots. However, if you're shooting handheld with the 7D, you'll want to watch out for skew. As you can see here, the whole image is slanted, and that's caused from too much motion. Unfortunately, there's no real way to avoid it, so you just have to make sure you're using the right tool for the right job. So, for locations, we shot in and around our hometown Stillwater, Minnesota, and also in Wisconsin. This was our cast and crew for the shoot, minus Haldine, who was actually behind the camera.
We shot in the woods. Oh, it was snowy.
It was snowy in the woods when we shot it. There happened to be snow. It was winter.
It was negative 20 degrees 3 days in a row when we shot.
Because of the extreme temperatures that we were shooting in, we saw virtually nobody. This helped us when we were shooting the airport because of those temperatures, it's actually too cold for planes to take off, essentially. So we have the place to ourselves, aside from a maintenance guy and a guy at flight school. And while very little can match the untamed beauty that surrounds our area, it was lacking one thing, and that was giant mountains everywhere. So what we did to fix this is we used something called matte paintings, where we would take reference photos and add them into the background. As you can see here, there was a lot of shots that we had to add them to, and even after doing about 30 or so, it never got old. But one thing to keep in mind while shooting is that no matter where you are or how many people may or may not see you shooting, these things look real. So when shooting with fake weapons or terrorist masks or whatever, you're going to want to notify as many people as possible near the area, and you'll definitely want to tell the police, which we did.
So for the costumes for part 1, we got most of our gear from surplus stores, from Target, Goodwill, any other kind of place that has discounts. Just really whatever we can grab that looked good. It's a soccer jersey.
So here's some photos from when we were creating the costumes for part 1. As you can see, we definitely tailored them to the environment so that they could be out in the cold for very long hours shooting. And also here's some of the equipment we are using, including a bunch of the airsoft guns that we borrowed. You can see they're on the left. Those all came in handy.
So we got a lot of questions about where we got the ghost mask. We actually made it ourselves. Basically went to a surplus store, got a knit cap, and then went to a craft store and got t-shirt paint, and just using a couple pictures for reference, painstakingly painted on this I also used a Sharpie to detail it a little bit, but you had to make sure until the fumes were completely gone from the paint and the Sharpie before anybody put it on.
The second most asked question was, what kind of software did you guys use?
The answer to that is Final Cut Pro, After Effects, 3ds Max, and a whole other variety of random little odds and ends or plugins.
So to give you guys a better idea of how we combine all the programs, here's a breakdown of one of the first shots of the movie where we use just about every trick. So in the background we have some mountains, and the foreground there's some jets that fly by, and then also on the upper left side there's a small tree branch that we shake to get some snow to fly in front of the camera. And that right there is actually the first step in making a good CG shot. The more practical effects you can work into it, the better, because it saves you a lot of time on the back end. Obviously the first step in all this is shooting for the shot. You have to imagine where the effects are going to be and how the timing is going to affect everything. Once you've selected the shot, you then need to figure out what elements you're going to put in the background. I'm using these free high-res photos of mountains. After cutting them out in Photoshop, we then have to place them into our motion-tracked footage. The motion-tracked footage allows us to put images onto panning or handheld shots. You can do this with programs such as Buju, Synthize, PFTrack, or Voodoo. Once the images are in your footage, you then need to fine-tune the colors. Things to be aware of are the color of the light, the direction of the light, and if there's any aerial perspective or haze. Once that's done, we're going to drop the jets in. These are some free jet models we got last year. They're pretty great. So we're going to animate these along a path and have them emit particles behind them to leave smoke trails. Once the jets are rendered out, just toss them in the shot and apply a light color grade to everything to make it a little more vibrant. Now, it really doesn't matter what program you're using because there's millions out there and they all do the same thing. What it's really about is using the right techniques and adding in the right details that really make a shot look good. Although there's one exception in the movie, and that's the bridge explosion. For that, we used fume effects for the explosion, and we used ray fire and reactor, a combination of that to make the bridge fragment. That was for the pros.
So that was the making of for part 1. If you guys have any questions, just leave them in the comments section below and we'll be happy to answer anything.
And we have the making of for part 2 coming along real soon, so feel free to subscribe so you're notified when it goes up. We'll also have a bunch of other cool stuff coming on this channel down the line.
Yep, VFX tricks, tips, whatever.
All right.
See ya.